Hi guys, welcome to the recap for Thursday, the 2nd of August 2018. Today was one of the best days that I've ever had, even though it's sim, still constitutes a pretty good day. And it's because I didn't take a lot of tickets and I had some really great trades. Once again, I apologize for the darkened kind of environment, having some problems with the light in the room, and also it's not very sunny outside, so I'm not getting a lot of sunlight in. So this is a closed P&L for today, 752. We traded MGM, SQ, and Teva, and if I show you, and I'm still holding 32 shares, so so this is my realized gain, which is the same as that, and there's unrealized gain of just $150, so I'm sitting on just under $900 at the moment. I've got 32 shares here still in SQ that you can see there. So let's go through it. So really a very clean day, you know, and I keep saying that, or we all keep saying that trading is tough, right? And we all know it's not easy. But when you have a day like this, you know, it gives you confidence because you can think to yourself, you know, I can do it. I can actually make this work. Whereas, you know, on most of the other days that I have, and I think, you know, we all tend to share, you know, we don't have clean days like this where it almost seems like it's not that difficult. We struggle. And someone asked in chat this morning, they said, you know, they asked Andrew, they said, how often, how often before you knew that you could make it as a trader? You know, so psychologically, how long did it take you to go through the ups and downs and the frustrations and, you know, the shit kind of pulling your hair out because you couldn't crack it, the losses, the day after day being red, you know, the resilience that you showed? How long did it take you before you realized and said, I can do this? You know, and the answer is not the same for everybody, because some people can come and be really great at trading. You know, other people will never be a trader. So, you know, it's up to you how long you want to give yourself. So anyway, over with that rant, let's go through what we did today. So first, let's go through Teva. Fine. Let's go through SQs. I've already got it open. All right. So SQ. SQ was a really good opening range breakout, right? Obviously to the upside. Breakdown would have been to the downside. Now the reason this is so good is because look how clean this is. I mean, okay, you know, you had a bit of a long candle here from what, say, call it 64.25 to 60. So, you know, $1.50 is a pretty big swing either way in the first 5 minutes, right? But what I saw that this had quite a bit of strength, and even though it dropped a little bit here to 65.50, I felt that it just looked like it had a bit of volume. Well, bit of volume. It had freaking, you know, this is a 5-minute candle, right? So it had, you know, 700,000 shares. And I just thought to myself, look, this looks like it may keep going up. And the more volume you have, you know, the more strength there is behind a stock. So the momentum kicked off, and I got in here with 5,000 or 500 shares. I think it was 1,000 shares. I don't normally take 1,000 shares. I would have taken 500 normally, but I thought to myself, I want to give it a go because I want to get myself out of my comfort zone as well. I can't keep constantly taking, you know, 200 shares, 300 shares. You need to test yourself how you react to having a bigger position, and even when that goes against you, how you react. So I took 1,000 shares and I scaled out like I usually do, I think in 5 or 6 attempts. And I'm still holding 32 shares, and it probably will get to $72. So that's a really good trade. Very happy with this. Probably one of the best trades I've taken in a very, very long time, because I don't usually take longs. I have a lot more success with shorting. So having something like this, you know, even though it doesn't happen very often, you know, once it happens, it makes you feel like you can actually trade both sides, which is actually quite good. So this was the best trade of the day. Let's go through MGM. So MGM, similar thing, right? Now, I don't take longs. I don't take a lot of longs, as I said earlier on. But the moderator, Andrew, took this. And I thought to myself, okay, look, I don't think there's anything else moving at the moment. It didn't look like a great pattern pre-market when you look at it. It's kind of all over the place. And lately I've been using the 15-minute candle to gauge a better trend. And I think on the 15-minute, I think it looked okay. So why don't we, let's check out the 15-minute candle. What did that look like? MGM around this time. Well, I mean, it didn't really make that much of a difference, I guess. But what I saw was, and I was looking at this 15-minute candle, I don't really look at the 5 that much anymore. Well, I do, but I take more decisions on the 15-minute candle because I just find it's more clearer. So this was one freaking strong candle, right? Now, mind you, I think I entered in, let me see what time I got in to MGM. So MGM, I got in long, what's that, 9:39. Okay, so we almost had 10 minutes of this 15-minute candle by the time I got in. So I had 2/3 of the candle filled. And I just saw this thing just, pulling away. I thought, okay, it's gone to the downside. It hasn't made a new low. Okay, that's a very important sign. It hasn't gone below the pre-market low. And if anything, it's got a lot more momentum. And look at this, look at my entry. Just below VWAP, or pretty much at VWAP. I mean, this is where I want to be taking trades. Why? Because this is my stop. The VWAP here is at, I don't know, let's call it 27.60, right? So I got in at 27.70. So I was losing 10 cents per share, and my target was, where was my target? Was the high of the pre-market, all right? Which was 28.15. 28.15, I got in at 27.70, so that's 45, 20, what did I get in? 45 cents. So I was looking to make 45 cents, prepared to lose 10. All right, so you're looking at like 4.5 to 1 ratio. That's a good ratio. 4 to 1 is a good ratio. That's a kind of setup you want to be taking because that gives you limited risk. You can control your risk. Anyway, so once again, I got in here 500 shares this time, and I sold on the way up. As you can see, probably about 6 attempts. And then it's kind of hovered, it did a bit of a downturn, and it's not really going anywhere since then. So that was another good trade from a risk reward perspective. Very, very good, very happy with that. And the last trade was Teva. Let me just change it on both of these so you can see it well. So Teva, so I'm just trying to show you both charts, and I've zoomed them both out. Alright, so here you go, so Teva. So I traded this twice. The first trade didn't quite work out. I got in here and it continued kind of pushing upwards and squeezing. So I got out and I think I lost $120 on this. And then I got in again because it didn't look like it was making a new high and pulling further away. So it made a new high, not did make a new low, but it did make a new high, and I figured it still was looking pretty weak. Maybe it's now setting up. And then I got in here with 500 shares. And once again, just at the VWAP, I covered a little bit. I covered the rest at the 20 moving average, and then as it broke the 20 moving average, and then it had a really nice fall, and then I finally covered here pretty much at the low of the day. And on the 50-minute chart, guys, it looks just the same. Very clean and move. I mean, this is kind of predictable when you have so much strong push to the downside, and if it does break the VWAP, there's a good chance it may continue that down movement. I mean, this is a really fantastic handle. I mean, you see this and it lights your eyes up, you know what I mean? So anyway, so that is it for me. 20 tickets, which is just brilliant. I mean, that's the kind of area I want to be in. And in terms of the overall, let me see where the unrealized is now about $150. So I will probably crack $900 today, minus, let's be generous and say 50 for commissions. Commissions are currently $26, but the commissions in DAS may not always be calculated correctly with IB, so happy to call it that. But anyway, a really good day, probably the third day in a row that's coming along nicely. I'm not going to go live yet because I still need to prove to myself that I can keep doing this for a bit longer. I got pretty badly burned with my recent losses to the extent that you know, I just need a bit of time to kind of, you know, lick my wounds and kind of push ahead. So I'm not going to give up. I'm definitely going to stay resilient because I really want to make this work. And if anything, you know, days like this don't come along that often for me, but hopefully with more practice and more exposure and more experience and being in a really good environment like the Bearball Traders environment, you know, it's a great community. I'm also part of another community called Average Joe Trader, and Ed Martin there is a fantastic trader. If you guys haven't come across Ed Martin from Average Joe Trader or Andrew Aziz from Bearball Traders, I strongly suggest you look them up, email them, tell them that I'm one of their members. You know, at the end of the day, guys, we're all here to help each other out, and if it means, you know, sharing the knowledge and helping us grow, then that's all we're here for. So anyway, adios, have a great day, and I'm moving cities this weekend, traveling about 400 kilometers to the east, which means that I will probably not be able to trade tomorrow because we're getting everything packed up. So I'll endeavor to trade, but it may not happen, which means there probably may not be a recap if I don't trade, obviously. But when we move at the weekend on Monday, I should be ready to go. So if you don't hear from me tomorrow, have a great weekend. Been a pleasure, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers. Bye.